Did you know a few scrap pieces of wood and one hinge can turn your grinder into a safer, easier cutting tool right in your garage? If you've ever struggled to hold your grinder steady while cutting wood or steel, this simple setup will make a big difference in how you work. With just a hinge, a few screws, and 2 pieces of scrap wood, you can create a small swing arm stand that helps you cut cleaner and safer. It's easy to build, it saves you effort, and it gives you much better control. Let me show you how to put it together step by step. Start by grabbing the small wooden piece you cut at an angle. Place the hinge on the flat side and line it up so it sits straight. Drive in a couple of wood screws to hold it firmly in place. This hinge will act as the main pivot later, so make sure it feels solid and doesn't wobble. Now take a small angle bracket and trim it to a length that fits the end of your wooden piece. You want it short enough to stay stable but long enough to hold a bolt. After cutting it, drill a 10mm hole near the top of the bracket. This hole is important because it will be the mounting point for your grinder later. Once the hole is clean, place the bracket on the opposite end of the wood and line it up so the drilled hole faces upward. Use a couple of screws to fasten it tightly. When you lift the wood, you should see the hinge on one side and the bracket with the bolt hole on the other ready to work as the main support arm. Tell me where you're watching from. I always enjoy seeing the different cities and states you're tuning in from. Take a larger wooden board and add a short wood block to one end. This block works as a small riser to support the hinge later. Set the hinge side of your first piece on top of the riser and screw it down so the arm can swing up and down smoothly. Test the motion a few times. The hinge should lift and lower easily without rubbing or binding. This base will let your grinder move like a mini chop saw. Now you can get the grinder ready to mount. Take a bolt that matches the mounting hole on your grinder and trim it to the right length so it fits clean without sticking out too far. A hacksaw or cutoff wheel works fine for this. Then remove the cutting disc and the guard from your grinder so the body is clear and easy to attach. Set the parts aside where you won't lose them. You want the grinder stripped down just enough so the bolt can pass through cleanly when you install it on the angle bracket. This step makes the mounting safer and keeps the tool sitting tight when you pivot it up and down. Now you can mount the grinder onto the hinge system. Line up the trimmed bolt with the 10mm hole you made in the angle bracket. Slide the bolt through the bracket and straight into the mounting point on your grinder. Tighten it until the grinder sits firm, but still stays lined up with the cutting path. After that, place a small wood block under the cutting disc area to support the grinder at the right height. This keeps the blade from digging too deep and gives you a steady point to return to each time you lower the tool. Reinstall the cutting disc and the guard so everything is safe and ready to use. Once it is all tightened down, lift and lower the grinder a few times to make sure it moves smooth on the hinge. At this point, the setup works like a small cutoff station and gives you cleaner, safer cuts. Place the metal bar on the wooden support block and hold it steady with one hand. Turn on the grinder and lower it gently along the hinge, letting the blade meet the metal at a steady angle. You'll feel how much easier it is to guide the cut now that the tool moves up and down in a straight path. Keep the pressure light and let the blade do the work. In just a moment, the bar will cut clean through, showing you how well this simple hinge setup improves control and safety. You've just seen how a few simple parts can turn your grinder into a steady cutting tool that handles metal and wood with ease. This setup gives you better control and a safer way to work right in your own garage. If you enjoy projects like this, make sure you subscribe and share the video. Your support helps me bring you more practical ideas you can use at home.